Oh, hey everyone. Hey everyone. Hello. Welcome to Table Moments Live. I know it's been a minute since I've been live on YouTube. I've been live on TikTok, but figure I'd come back here. Make my I haven't been that active on YouTube lately. If you guys don't know, I actually have other social media accounts where I actually share what I do most of my time, which is not making content. It's actually like building stuff right now. I'm working on like this electronic device here. Let's see if I can show you guys here. Coming soon. Um, Someone else's idea, but I'm actually building it, and it's crazy that it might actually work. And I'm not an electronics engineer. I'm not. I didn't go to school for this, but turns out if you're willing to slug through a lot of documentation, you can figure anything out. So obviously, you kind of have to have the intellect for that. I guess is what most people might excuse, but like I don't have the mind for this, man. Like, I don't have a mind for a lot of things, but you can slug through a lot of stuff and then eventually figure it out, or at least some semblance of figuring it out. So that's crazy. That might actually work. Obviously, I do the wallets thing, so that's cool. Still, ads are so weird, man. Ads are so weird. It's like sometimes they work really well, and other times it's just like nothingness. And it's just like, am I being robbed right now by Facebook, by Mark Zuckerberg? Maybe. And I'm like, all right, this isn't sustainable. I wonder if it's because like established brands, and this is one of the topics I had prepared for today, like how much easier everything is when people know who you are, when you're a recognizable brand, people are familiar with you. They know you're not just a scam, or at least they're people's. I don't know. I think people have a natural distrust for unfamiliar things, but at the same time, that means if you're new and on the scene into anything really, it's like there's this level of like familiarity that you have to build before people give you a chance. And so like selling wallets is like I don't know, especially at the price point I'm doing it, it's probably too low, which means I'm gonna have to experiment with pricing. But basically, what I'm saying is like when you're new and you don't have name recognition, then basically everything's harder, and not even harder in like a small overcome a way in a way that you can overcome, but actually like borderline insurmountable because it turns out. I think Rory Sutherland said this best. He's a marketer. He talks about like how people are driven by two things largely: habit, so what they always do, what they've always done, and what they'll continue to do. And then I think it's like memetics. Come on, Mac. They always do that. All right. So the second thing is memetics, basically people copying what other people are doing. Let me see if I have to like stop add to stage. Let's see. Settings, camera. Stuff is getting worse. Okay, let's go here. All right, we're back. Ooh, maybe I could do angles too. That might be interesting. So if I want to go like something like this, let's see here. And I'm like, hey guys, now different angles. But no, let's do this one. This one's the nicer camera. But basically, yeah, people are largely driven by habit and social proof, basically, and what other people do. And so if you're new, you're kind of, it's like swimming upstream, a stream that's like pushing you down so hard. And it's like trying to fight for your new idea to be born. It's kind of crazy, but that's just how it is. And I know it from doing the social media stuff. Like the beginning, it was so slow. No one, like now it's like 166,000 people across platforms, which is still modest, but it's crazy that you can start a podcast about anything and everything, and there are 166,000 people who will hit a follow or subscribe button. So I'm used to the grind. It just, when you haven't had to do it in a while, doing it all over again kind of just like slaps you in the face a little bit. But I'm like, all right, okay. And at the same time, I'm like growing other social media accounts. Like I have one related to technology, so all the software and electronic stuff I do, and then another one is just for like entrepreneurial, not in the whole like how to make money type of way, but in the sort of like how do you build something real in the world and then share it with the world. So that's like the wallet stuff, these glasses stuff things. I talk about that kind of stuff and just like hacks and tips and things I've learned over time that sort of improve some of the things I'm working on. And that's growing. I mean, obviously, still like less than 500 people. The technology one, I started that like last year, I think. It's almost 1,000, but this one's like about to break 400. And if you look at the graph of growth, usually for these kind of things, it's like a long flat line, and then all of a sudden, that's what it looks like because in aggregate, all the growth happens on the tail end. And this is what they call like a sigmoid curve, exponential, whatever. And this is how it works for pretty much everything. It's very rare for something to like have a steady growth and keep that up. It's like it multiplies, or it's I don't know, but basically it's not smooth. It's all like a whole lot of nothing for a long time, then all of a sudden. Now I don't know when that all of a sudden is going to happen. I have faith that it will, but. And if I continue at it, I've had it with the social media accounts. So like with Table Moments, even this, like it started off with a whole lot of like over 800 videos on YouTube or something like that, something crazy. Now I'm not gonna say it's gotten to the pinnacle. There's still a lot more work to do, but like that's just how it goes. So I'm used to it, and it's just like, can you stay motivated during the low points? And so, yeah, I'm just going to continue building. And I think this is like the path I'm supposed to take. I've been wondering, like, I've been preparing the script. What's your everything? So this is shout out to Everything the brand. I should have made this video months ago, but I didn't have the creative juices flowing. But basically, like, what is your everything? What is the thing that you're meant to do, sort of kind of situation? And I think I'm supposed to build things. I think I'm supposed to build things. So that's kind of like what I'm doing and falling into it. Now it's a crazy idea because like I don't know if people are open to the idea that you can just build something and then offer it to the world and people will accept it. Like, I think brands do this. I think fashion, clothing, this is a common thing. But in the idea of like consumer design, I don't think it's something I see. At least I haven't seen much of it, if at all. There are occasional glimpses where I get to see that, but generally that isn't the case. And I think that's what I'm meant to do. Just like build things and offer it to the world and then see if like the world will accept it. That's basically it. Like, which I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's sort of like I'm in the zone when I'm doing this kind of stuff. Obviously, like I don't like when like I'm working on the Shopify app and it's not working like I expect it to, and I'm sure there's going to be some little finicky thing that I didn't account for in the back end or whatever that wasn't documented. So literally I have to like discover it. But that's just the journey. The journey comes with all these like hurdles and like boulders to overcome, and it's what it is. And relating it to like the biblical stuff, like I mean, if it were easy, would it be worth doing? You know. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing. I have two minds about it. On the one hand, it's just like, yeah, it's hard, and maybe it's worth it because it's hard. And there's sort of like a protection you get when you do hard things because no one else, a lot fewer people are willing to do it. But at the same time, it's just like, could I just have it easy one time? Just one time. Just like everything just like falls into place and it just works. That would be... I don't know. I'm two minds about it, but it is what it is. Topics for today, though. Obviously, I have these project accounts. We could talk about like building stuff, and I don't know. I think, you know, like some of the stuff I see people building, and you know what? I'm not going to judge. It is what it is. But yeah, I make stuff, and we could talk about that. I could give you updates about the wallet. I mean, like I think the wallet's at a pretty good point. I got a pretty good 5-star review on the website now. It's just like, I'm still really bad at marketing. So API server for that and actually being able to dramatically reduce the cost of shipping while also including tracking information. I feel like I'm closer to solving the Shopify app issue, but we could talk about that too. We could talk about A/B testing ads, which, man, you know, Facebook Meta is a $1 trillion corporation, yet their software sucks. Like it blows. When you have something people absolutely need, you can be so bad. Your tools could be awful. You can treat people like crap, and people will still come and give you money. And that's essentially what Facebook and all these ad platforms have basically become. Performance marketing is like this idea that, metrics and data can decide, and algorithms can decide what ads work and how to sell to people. And I wonder if that is a false assumption. And so I'm going to be experimenting with these wallets and stuff. So we'll see. Starting from the beginning sucks. I talked about that. We could talk about that. I know, when you're new and you're starting from the beginning, you have no clue how hard it's going to be. You have no clue. You have no clue how long you're going to have to be doing it for before you get any modicum of success. And what does success really mean? Even with this stuff, I don't know, if people just want to look at follower count or whatever, it's just like, I think a stupid metric to use because it doesn't speak to the quality or the intent behind the content. Because I don't do things for the sake of going viral, which relates to another topic I have prepared for tonight, avoiding the grift. So I see the grift available, the easy way to get views, the easy way to build an audience, the easy way to attract people is by talking about the things that are already on top of their mind, which now this year is election. Politics is one big thing. There's all this religious debate stuff that's happening now, which I find very unproductive a lot of the time. Obviously, relationships, talking about money, all the things that people are naturally obsessed with are the things that you can easily build an audience off of. The question is, can you get people interested in something outside of the things that they normally desire? And basically the sinful kind of things that people are already drawn to. That's the challenge. That's the innovation. That's actually building something new and different. And that's what I've been trying to do, which is why it's hard to describe to people who aren't in the game. It's even people in the game don't even realize, by choosing the right topic, it's so much easier to build or create or to build a following on social media. So much easier. If you talk about money, you're going to attract a lot of dudes because dudes are obsessed with money. If you talk about relationships, depending on which side of the aisle, because it's always a gender war thing, if you appeal to women, you're going to attract a lot of women. If you appeal to men, you're going to attract a lot of men. If you're a woman who appeals to men, then you're gonna shoot to the top. That's how you get pearly. This is literally it. It's it's not even about, I don't know. We can go deep into it, but I'm saying it's all strategic and it's all, and I would say the people who choose these spaces might not even realize that that's what they're doing. And secondly, they think they're doing something righteous when in thinking that they're trying to win hearts and minds, when in reality they're just building a following for themselves. So it's really a selfish motivation behind it. Even the whole Mr. Beast. We could talk about the Mr. Beast scenario. That's crazy. Is he being taken down? I don't know. I have my opinions on Mr. Beast, and I wrote a script on talking about creativity and content. I never published it. I never shot the video and published it, which is a shame because now maybe it's a good thing that I didn't publish it because everyone's talking about Mr. Beast now, but I don't like hopping on the grift. You talk about Mr. Beast in a negative way, you're going to get views right now. It just is what it is. And I'm just that's not the intent behind what my thing, what I was preparing. What's up, King Kumar Z? Bung Chaga? I don't know what that means, but okay. And then the last topic I have for today is what are you meant to do? It's so easy to look at this stuff rationally and just be all right, just do whatever gets you paid. Jump from job to job, which, in this mercenary style, wherever you can get the most money type of thing, completely disregarding your spirit. And it's just I don't know if that's the right way. And that's not what I'm doing. I'll tell you that right now. It's just not what I'm doing. King Kumar? Why? Why is that hard to say? That's not a... You pronounce my name right? Okay, yeah. I think you might be new here. Welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ayman. This is the Table Moments podcast where we talk about anything and everything. It really is an open-ended conversation. Random people come in, we talk about random things. We try to avoid debates and stupid things like politics as much as people are obsessed with it right now. If you look at the YouTube channel, like it's random collection of videos, and it's just like the thing I'm into at the moment. I like interviewing people sometimes, especially if they're interesting characters who don't necessarily have a large following, because you see that grift happen too, where like podcasters interview people who are bigger than them, and so they can leech off of that audience that or familiarity and fame that they have. And I don't like the idea of like just growing that way, because it's cheap, and it's also short-lived because there aren't enough people out there who are worthy of interviewing who have fame. And so it's like, and I also personally believe that anyone can be interesting. Anyone. It's just a matter of like, can you interview them in a way or have a conversation with them that sort of draws their personality and their passions out of them, and then you could talk about anything. So that's sort of like the interviews I do here. But then I also like have like video pieces. Like if you look at the shorts, it's random. There is no theme here other than you mess with my personality. I don't know. People can't just can't read sometimes, I guess, dude. Kumar seems like an easy thing to say. Harold and Kumar, man. Harold and Kumar. Okay. If you're flying through the desert and your boat gets a flat tire, what should you have in your pockets? Interesting riddle. If you're flying through the desert and your boat gets a flat tire, what should you have in your pockets? You should have bubble gum. You should have bubble gum. I feel like that's the answer. I don't know why, but it feels like that's the answer. Feel free to put it in the chat though. So yeah, so I do usually have topics prepared for this kind of thing, but we talk about anything. So I appreciate the riddle, I guess. And I usually dedicate the first 20 minutes to YouTube, and this is also being streamed on Twitch. And then I add the TikTok people later. For real, you can use bubble gum to repair the wires. Sure. I mean, like, yeah, bubble gum. I don't know. There's certain things that are just so universally useful. Duct tape, obviously, that's the easy answer. But zip ties, super useful in pretty much anything. This one time I actually wrecked my car and I took it to the mechanic. And obviously, there's this issue with like having to trust mechanics because you can't evaluate if they're good or not. And so I took it to this guy because I just needed it running. It was in a wreck. And this guy used zip ties to hold all the things in there. He didn't even fix it. I ended up having to fix it myself. It was a speed sensor that was an issue. But I use zip ties to paint my wall. Interesting. How do you use zip ties on the wall? Interesting. Yeah, I like using things in new and unexpected ways. I think that's the real life hack, when you can look at something and be imaginative enough about how it can be used in other ways. And I think this is like the real value in the world. Not the real value. I think there is a lot of value to be had in using things in new and interesting ways that they weren't intended for. So like there's, I think, two classes of invention. One class of invention is new and novel, like a scientific discovery or a new method for building something, whatever, that you had to be in the lab to discover something, whatever. The other class of invention is using things in new and interesting ways, I think. This is a personal thing for me. And that's primarily where I live, using things in new and interesting ways. So like, obviously, like I make stuff. I made I made this wallet. It looks pro, but these are actually book corners that I use in my wallet, and it definitely elevates the look of these. I use an impulse sealer to seam the edges, which is normally used for packaging. Like I use nitinol which is a shape memory metal, to add reinforcement to these corners so that you can bend it and it goes right back to being straight. Like all these interesting things, and I think that's where a lot of opportunity could be had. And I think that's like the Nintendo approach to design. They don't invent new things per se, at least in terms of technology, or use cutting edge stuff. They just use existing technology in new and interesting ways. So like the Game Boy used, I think, a lot of commonly sourced hardware. so they can keep the cost low because all the pieces were mass produced. They just combined a screen with all these chips and buttons and in this kind of device. The Wii, you might say, is like a, a, a new design, but I mean it's just infrared cameras and LEDs. That's basically how a TV remote's always worked. They just added some software on top of that and 3D algorithms to be able to track motion. But like instead of like the Kinect that uses this like light array kind of thing that is sort of scientific, honestly, using FBI law enforcement, I'm so confused. But I'll take it. Shout out to the FBI. Shout out to James Comey. Is he still alive? You know what? I'm sorry. Feds. I'm sorry if you're watching this. I didn't mean it. Don't come after me, please. Like you did to General Flynn. I don't need that. Man, see, that's the thing. The political grift is easy. It's just too easy for me. I don't know. Anytime I see something too easy, I'm just like, I don't really care for it. I don't care for it. It's just like, I don't know. I feel a little cheap inside when I go for the easy grift, which is why I avoid it. Although, man, it's tempting. I'm not going to lie. It is absolutely tempting. All right. So I did 21 minutes on YouTube. Thanks for everyone who's continuing watching. I'm going to add the TikTok people now. And I know it's weird because like I'm going to be reading the comments off of here, but I mean, like these people expect me at 7 p.m. every Sunday. And that's what this mic is for. This is the TikTok people. I'm stuck in my vents. I thought they were as big as they are in the movies. All right. I think that's a crude joke, but I'll allow it. Yeah. Hey, Socks, what's up? How's everyone doing tonight? And I don't wear these. Oh, man. I think these lenses are becoming part of my look, by the way. The yellow, because I wear these all the time now. They're so comfortable. I don't know if you have an issue with like bright light and blue light or whatever, which I didn't think I had, but like they're so much more comfortable. Even right now, having this bright light shining in my face, like with these yellow tints, like, and it's kind of a vibe. Not gonna lie, it's a vibe. Yo, what's good, Jose? What's good? What's good? I'm all right. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Just like doing this game, I guess. Social media. Actually, I haven't been posting much on this account. I've been posting on other accounts. I have other accounts, man. Some comments in this life were filtered to protect the community's experience. Dude, I hate that. Tezza, what's up? Outside Simulator, what's up? So, yeah, I don't wear these lenses to look douchey. I wear these because they're actually comfortable. And the cool thing is, like, they do come off. So that's the coolest part. Every time I show this off, I would even forget, like, these are so cool. Someone actually came up with an idea on how to improve these, like for bifocals, people who have issues with like seeing distance and also seeing close for reading. So usually bifocals have that like bottom part of the lens that's like higher magnification. So instead, but then it leaves this like sort of line where the transition between the normal distance and the nearsighted stuff happens. And so what if it was a lens they could just put on top, just magnetize it on there, or even just half of it when they need it, when they're reading, they can use that. And then they can also carry it because these things also stack. They stack. So I think it's pretty cool. So yeah. If you don't mind, please speak in sign language in blind in 3 eyes. Oh, so you're just full of riddles, Kumar. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. Hey, Daniel Beckner, what's up? Patrick Jones, how's everyone doing? Welcome to Table Moments Live. I'm your host and captain, Ayman. I still like the captain line, and I'm going to keep it just out of tradition. It's just like, I don't know. Hey, hi, thanks for liking the live. Appreciate it. Yeah. You could just leave comments. That's all good. But yeah, I appreciate it. Let me adjust this real quick. I have some topics prepared, but again, like every week we talk about anything and everything. So Some people just really like to listen, which is crazy to me because it's like, you want to hear my voice? Like, I get it. I do have a podcast, but still, I don't know. There's just something a little, I don't know. Maybe it's just cringe to me because, like, but although I do listen to my own podcast just for quality control reasons. I do. Appreciate the likes, though. That new beard guy, what's up, man? Let's see. Do you have anything in your bio? No in bio. All right. So I have a few things prepared. We could talk about building stuff. We could talk about audience capture, as I can always talk about. We could talk about social media accounts if you actually want to build a following. Like, I don't know. I feel like TikTok's kind of dead. TikTok's kind of dead. Can I have your smoke detector? I can see it in the background. Is it that there? That's a light. That's a light. That's off. But yeah, smoke detectors. I wonder if people even know that smoke detectors are technically radioactive. Do people know that? Like, it has this element. I think American. How do you say it? Cadmium. Smoke detector. Americium. I don't know how to say that, but it's basically. Oh, then can I have the light? Sure, if you can take it. Yeah, you're extremely hungry. You should grab some food or make it. I would never want to be famous. Yeah, neither do I. I mean, like, I like the idea that this is grassroots. Like, yeah, no, like, I busted to your stream. Okay. But yeah, as far as fame, like, I don't know. Like, on the one hand, it's super useful, man. It's super useful in terms of like getting anything off the ground. Being known is such a hack. It's such a hack. This is why people name drop. This is why people what do they do when people talk about someone famous that they know? Is that name dropping? Whatever it's called. Like, there's a reason why people do it, because like social proof guides a lot of human behavior. It's crazy. It's crazy, and I know it firsthand. Like, even this stuff, like, I've been doing it for years, at least like 3 years at this point. At the beginning, it sucked because like no one knows who you are, and then you start posting on social media, and then you kind of build a following. But even then, like, I don't know, these platforms always get in the middle of it. Cancellations and fake allegations in the first day, no thanks. Fair point. But like, anybody can get that to happen to them. Anybody. Just because you're not famous doesn't mean you can't get canceled, at least in your own way. Like, there are plenty of people who get falsely accused of stuff who aren't known by people. Like, this happens. I don't know. I think cancellation, it's just like, I feel like cancellation is just a modern phenomena that's going to happen. That's inevitably going to happen. Obviously, if you put yourself out here, you're definitely far more vulnerable. But, you know, people get canceled sometimes for the dumbest reasons. Like the last guy I talked to on the podcast, he does video game content that pushes the edge. And we were talking about it. I'm just like, I'm surprised you haven't been canceled yet. But I've been trying to get canceled, which is crazy for people to and people think I'm joking. I'm not joking. I am trying to get canceled. You get canceled once, you can't get canceled again. And that's like, you get to know who your friends are, and you kind of, and then once it happens, it's like now you can deal with it. Other than the fear of like waiting for it to happen. And anybody could get canceled and it's usually for very, very dumb reasons. I remember this one lady who tweeted something. She was going to Africa for work or whatever, flying to Africa. You guys remember this, where she talked about like not getting AIDS or whatever because she's Asian? I think that's what it was a joke. It was a joke. And it was a very insensitive joke, obviously. But when she landed, she posted this as a tweet, and then it blew up on, I guess, Twitter while she was on the plane, so she didn't have access to the internet. She lands and then finds everyone hates her because she made this super insensitive joke, and then she loses her job like when she landed. Like, it's crazy. And she wasn't anybody. Like, this is the crazy thing. Like, Anybody could get canceled for anything, and this is the unfortunate fact of like the world today. What people deem right is correct, and what people deem wrong is incorrect. And there is no sense of morality or justice or anything in this world, at least the modern world that we live in. And so, if that's the case, then who cares what the rest of these people think? That's my position. It's just like, look, if their judgment on you is based on what is popular and what isn't, then they're all stupid. In which case, I want nothing. I want nothing to do with any of these people who would cancel me, which is going to be 90% of people. There's always going to be that small faction who really mess with you, and those are the people I care to be around. So that's the way I see it. It's just like, yeah. I mean, Jesus was canceled. Like, I get, and this is like literally the perfect. You can't get closer. You can't get more perfect than that. Yo, what's up? Hey, what's up, Spence? I'm new English. Have tips? I don't know what you mean. Super City Games is my bro. I'm into R2D, RD, R2. I don't know what that is. I try to be funny even though I'm not. Don't crap on yourself, man. Can you say happy birthday to my dad? He's 52. His name is, yeah, Hugh Jazz. That's funny. People have gotten me on much more clever ones than that. College students get canceled all the time, and you're right. Yeah, all the time. Zot. Oh, okay. Irvine, what's up, man? Irvine, yeah. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I went to UC Irvine, but like, I'm not claiming them. I don't care to. Like, oh man, just like I remember every year they would increase tuition. All the like, I'm not trying to bring politics or Middle East drama in here, but like I remember the whole Israel Palestine stuff 10 years ago on college campus and the protesting and everything. Things haven't changed, guys. Things haven't changed, which is why it's like crazy people get super involved in it. The only thing that's different now is social media. Like it's much bigger now than it was when I was in college. So, yeah, it's just people have seemingly louder voices, but it's always still a minority. I'm allergic to electricity and primer, but you paint walls? That's interesting, Kumar. That's very interesting. So yeah, if you're going to get canceled no matter what, or at least it's inevitable. You can't say for certain if you're going to get canceled or not, but like it either happens now or it happens later. And I think it's better when it happens now. Like get it out of the way early. Yeah, it makes your life harder. Sure. Do you pay a heavy price for it? Yes. Yes, you do. But you know where you stand, at least with people. And I don't know. It's just like you know which team you're on or who's on your team, I guess, if you want to see it that way. I painted my walls with zip ties. I told you this. All right. Now you're just being confusing, unnecessarily confusing. I didn't understand that. You painted your wall with zip ties. That would be an interesting art piece, though. I did see someone put together a portrait of someone using combs. It's pretty cool. Saw it in a museum. So maybe that's what you're doing. That's cool. So yeah, don't be. I mean, I guess you could live in fear if you. Well, here's the thing. I get it. I mean, fear sells. Fear is probably like one of the largest, probably the most driving emotion that most people feel, and I get it. I mean, like, it is scary. I mean, here's the thing. Like, man, it's like if you have a job and you work for somebody, fear is built into the role. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that companies are eager to hire free-spirited, liberated people. You know, like they're not in a position to want to do that. Now, sometimes, some years they have to when the job market's super competitive and they just have to like get bodies. And so like the tech world seemed to work this way where pretty much anybody could get a job and they were desperate for bodies in seats. I don't know why, because it's just like, I guess it was free money. ZIRP is what they say, zero interest rate policy. For those of you who don't know, government basically making money as close to free as possible. And it meant with companies that, software companies specifically benefited heavily from this. And so like projections based on something like that means the valuation of the company is going to be much higher in the future, which means it makes sense to hire now. And so that's the whole idea. And so that's why there was this like boom in the job market. Anyone who worked in I knew a ton of people who worked in tech, not necessarily like in the technical space where they're engineers, but even in sales and like other areas of software, at least in the software company. And then all of a sudden now interest rates go up because obviously when interest rates are super low and money's cheap, it inflates the currency, especially with the money printing and the, what do they call it? Dang, there's a term for it, but I guess I don't need to use it. But money's super cheap and they print a lot of it. It inflates the currency. And so now they're trying to undo that. And so the valuations of these companies no longer, or at least the form of valuations are no longer valid, which means all the projections are wrong, which means they overhired, which means now you get to suffer. And so it's just a vicious cycle, man. It's just like, and then it's crazy that all of this happens at the same time. So it's not like, it'd be fine if it were like a few of the major corporations stopped hiring, but then the other ones were hiring, at least if there was some sort of equilibrium in all this. But because it's all influenced by one entity, our government, at least this is for US based people, it's all influenced by the government and their decisions on how to print or how often to print money. It means the entire economy is controlled by one entity. And this is what we get, this radical like ups and downs. So like, then after all these people were hired, making really good salaries and everything, I remember like everyone was like super excited. Even people who worked technical jobs as engineers decided to go into sales because I mean, like it's easier and all that stuff and whatever. And then all of a sudden, government makes a decision on, all right, we gotta control inflation. And so now we got to increase interest rates, which decrease the valuation of these companies, which means they're overvalued, which means they overhired, which means they have to let all these people go at the same time. So everyone gets screwed at the same time. It's crazy. And it's just like, this is our world. This is our world. This is what we've settled for. I don't know. I don't buy it. This is why, here's the thing. You're going to like this, Ariro, but like socialists kind of have a point. They kind of have a point. This is capitalism. Obviously, this isn't capitalism. This is like some, I don't even know how to describe when it's, yeah. Their grievances are correct. Their ideas on how to fix it are wrong. That's what I would say, Arira. That's what I would say. So, hey, didn't get blocked this week? Are you still picking fights with people? Peace and love, remember? Thanks for the hand hearts. Now coke with me? What? I don't know what that means. You still fighting? Come on. No. We're not doing that. But I forgot to plug it in so it didn't break. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. So like, down. All right. Like, I'm not trying to be a revolutionary as much as I used to be. And as much as that lives within me, like, I wonder if there's an opportunity to like, there's this idea called the parallel economy. So it's not necessarily involved in the current economy as we know it, but it's separate, and does all things within or around or with people who are sort of like-minded. And this is popular in political spaces where like, you know, people get canceled and then they only interact with other people who are in that space who have also been canceled. I think eventually we'll get to a point where I don't know how long it'll take, but I think inevitably we'll get to a point where there will be more people who have been canceled than who haven't been canceled. You know, there's a tipping point. I don't know if it'll be more people, but there will be a tipping point, I think. Just a crazy idea that there will be enough people who've been canceled that it's actually cooler to be on the canceled side. I think we're getting there right now. Especially with the whole politics thing that's happening right now. Like, cancellation used to be a terrible thing. Now it's just like, oh, okay. All right, cool. Like, yeah, people who are still plugged in probably still have issues, but people who aren't, it's just like, oh, he's canceled. That's kind of like, it draws people in now in a weird way. It's weird. I put an air tag inside a McDonald's cheeseburger. Okay. Is this ChatGPT? I feel like you're just like a ChatGPT thing where it's just like, hey, give me random things to say, so then let me say it. Um, but yeah, um, so I wonder if that's our future, where it'll actually be a badge of honor to be canceled. It is in Republican spaces, but I think it's becoming mainstream, low key or high key, maybe. I don't know. It's just like it's a badge of honor now. It's just like, yeah, these people who you don't like me, so you should like me. So it's like a enemy of my enemy kind of situation, which is kind of cool. But then also understand, like, most people are not online. Most people are not online. It seems like it, especially if you are someone who's online all the time. But a majority of people are not online, so they have no idea what's going on. If you see all this stuff on your feed about like conflicts in Africa or like the Middle East or politics or Kamala, my bad. Kamala says this and Trump said that, blah, blah, blah. It's like most people are not online, man. And so they have no clue what's going on. And that's the proper way to be, by the way. Like all this stuff does not matter. All of it. Like it doesn't matter. He says, no, it's not ChatGPT unless you're calling me smart because ChatGPT is smart. ChatGPT is not smart. It's not. Like people, I don't know. Like we could have this whole, it doesn't need to be a debate, but ChatGPT is not smart. It's not smart. And you'll know it's not smart when you try to find answers to things that you are somewhat expert in and you realize how much of it gets wrong. So it's kind of like Gallman's amnesia, except for pretty much everything. So if you guys don't know, Gallman's amnesia is this idea that there's this guy who was reading a, I guess, newspaper story or whatever, and when he's reading something that isn't something he's an expert in, then it's like, wow, this is crazy, all this new information, and it must be true. But when they do talk, when he reads something that he is familiar with, then it's so obvious how much of how much of the newspaper is wrong about what he knows. But then when he goes back to reading something he doesn't know, all of a sudden they're experts again. And this is the amnesia. And I think ChatGPT is basically that, but for everything. People think it's like the smartest thing ever. It's just like, it gets things wrong. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what it's talking about, it'll get things wrong and you won't know that it's wrong. So you're being like, that's the tough thing about this. You have to be able to confirm it. It's not as smart as a human, but it has a knowledge library. Yeah, it's a source of information for sure, but that doesn't make it smart. Like, it's smart in some areas, just not everything quite yet. I don't think it ever will be, because like, here's the thing: what is smart in quotes? Yeah, I'll take that. I hate ChatGPT. It's such a bunk chugga. I don't know what that means, but sure. Like now it's being used for like SEO purposes, so search engine optimization. Let's make all these articles, put it on our website that are all been automatically generated through ChatGPT, and it sounds like someone wrote it, but no one did. And the whole purpose of that is to elevate the authority of a site so that it can get more views and sell more things. In which case, the whole thing is just fraud, and it's not written by a person, so it's usually like, it has a way. I don't know. It's crazy. It has its uses, okay? It has its uses if you know what you're doing and if you know what it's doing, or at least you understand what you're putting in and what you can expect to get out. The real work is not in the generation of things. It's in the editing of things. And anyone who works on anything, like if you write, if you make music, if you create a video or build anything, you'll realize like it's the iterations that is the real work. It's not the actual like first version, which is what ChatGPT can give you. So that's why it's just like, I don't know. I think people put way too much stake into these AIs. They say AIs, it's not even intelligent. And the sad thing about AI is that it can't even tell you the truth. Because like if it told you the truth, you wouldn't even know if it's the truth, because you kind of have to know beforehand what the truth is before you get it. And so it's just like, it can tell you things and you just say, oh, it's hallucinating, but it could be telling you the truth or not. Like, this is the thing. Like, man, people put way too much faith in this AI stuff. I know plenty of people who use it, people use it all the time to write emails, whatever. But not only is it disingenuous because you're not actually communicating yourself, it sounds better than you. So like when you show up in person, you're not how you sound. So it's like you appear more, you appear as something that you're not. And it devolves you as a person because you're not actually learning how to communicate the way you're meant, the way you communicate. It's just crazy. It's just like it's becoming. I think a lot of people will take that path and not actually learn things, which I think is better for people who are willing to learn in the long term because it's not in the things that are known, the things that can be accumulated in these massive databases with permutations and deca, whatever bytes of information. It really, the innovations, the special, the uniqueness comes in newness, novelty that I don't think AI can really come up with. So it's just like if you restrict yourself to things that only exist, then you're kind of like limiting yourself. But it is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong. That's the thing. I'm open to being wrong. Like people say AI is the future, blah, 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 whatever. It's like, all right, let's see. Like it could be very useful. I'm learning C programming right now because I'm working on this like embedded device right now. And it's just like, I didn't realize how how bad or how hard it is. Lower level languages are just harder because there's all these things you have to account for. It's like, cause you're getting closer to the metal. But like evil AI, like spell check. Yeah. Like, I think it's worse than, I don't know. I'm a bad speller, but yeah, I always check though. That's the thing. For factual things, AI sucks. One time I tried to test its knowledge for HTML code and it started telling me stuff for CSS code. I mean, they're kind of related. I mean, yeah, if you're just modifying HTML tags, yeah, but you see, that's the thing. If you know the difference, so that you could tell that it's wrong. But someone who's completely unfamiliar with like web technology would be like, okay, they plug it in. Maybe the version that it gives it works because it puts a script tag in there, or maybe it puts like embedded CSS in the tags or whatever. So it works, but now make a change to it. And if you don't understand these differences, how they tie in together, all the different how CSS can relate to HTML in all these different ways, then you're kind of lost. Or if it uses a framework or some sort of like tooling for CSS, like Tailwind or whatever, it's just like, it wasn't styling. Ugh, okay, so it's even worse. Whatever. I'm just saying, like, it's just, I don't know. I remember trying to use ChatGPT to explain Electron apps and how they're structured, and it was giving me dated information. And I knew it because I actually read the documentation. So it can read the documentation, it can parse it, whatever, but it can't understand it. In which case it's like, it's like it's going to get better. All right. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't, but maybe it will. Who knows? But yeah, I'm learning C right now. And yeah, higher level languages, there's a lot of conveniences. Like even arrays, man. It's like you have to declare the size before which kind of makes sense actually if you understand how memory on a computer works. It's like, why would you be able to append and grow an array? It doesn't make sense that you should be able to do that because that's not how memory works. But yeah, we can get into web technology if you guys want to, but I'm learning that right now. And because yeah, whatever. We can go deep into that if you guys want to, but it's data information because it gets knowledge updates every 2 years. Yeah, I think that's one of the things they're trying to solve, like the contemporaneousness of it all. But we'll see. Like, I think it's going to be like it feels like a bubble to me. And, and here's the thing. I actually thought about this, the software stuff, the software bros, they think they're adding so much value to the world. In fact, they're parasites. They're actually parasites extracting all the value out of the world, thinking they're doing us a favor. That's what they're doing. And I realize this because you have these layers of abstraction, languages upon languages. Oh, JavaScript's hard. Let's build a framework. Oh, if that's harder, then now we can go to AI and that can write your code and whatever. And so you add all these layers and it turns out it just makes everything slower. if you ever wondered why computers get slow over time, even though the hardware is actually dramatically improving every year. They're packing in more transistors, making them smaller, putting in more cores, more cache memory, and everything. The computer should be faster. Computers should get faster, but they don't. At least not from your experience, because the software gets slower. All the gains that are made in hardware are extracted out of by the software, and so it's like, yeah, it makes you. It's just a shame because it's just like, I don't know. We have these computers in our pockets now that still run slow. It's just crazy. Like, I literally just watched a computer file video where they're talking about what's faster, arrays versus linked lists, and they're comparing. And they ran the code on old Mac, super old, one of the first Macintoshes, whatever. And then they ran the code on a modern Mac, and it's just like so much faster. And this is C code that they're running, right? And it's just like dramatically faster. It's like, where is that speed in your day-to-day use of a computer, you know? Where is it? And it's just like, oh, it's all eaten by software. It's all eaten by software. And then even like the whole CrowdStrike situation, like it was supposed to be a way to protect your computers, because they can scan at a deeper level all the things that are happening on your PC for malicious code and software. And then it turns out that's the thing that causes all these computers to crash and all these systems to basically disable themselves. And then people pay heavy prices for it. Companies pay prices, people's jobs, like, I don't know. It's just crazy. And so people think software is improving the world. I think it's actually extracting all the value out of the world that has been created by the world of atoms. That's what I think is actually happening. It grows markets, but it doesn't make markets more efficient. I don't know. That's a broad, I'm sure it does. It does. But like in I think more context than people are willing to admit, software is actually extractive instead of a value add. So if you think about like Uber is a good example. It's just like, oh, it's better than taxis. Yeah, taxis were terrible. They were terrible. I remember I took a taxi ride that put my life in jeopardy. I remember how bad taxis are, but like, does Uber deserve 20% of the fare? Does it? It's a software company. I don't know. I had ChatGPT write a Seinfeld episode about Eritrea. That's funny. It wrote about Jerry and the group being stranded in Asmara. Was it good? Should someone make the show? Oh, that's funny. A Seinfeld episode. You should have, Jerry, you should replace it with ACS and be like, all right, now make the main character ACS. And he does all these like crazy things. It's like, darn ACS. Or you can make ACS like the Kramer character. So he's just barging into things. I think that'd be hilarious, man. That's a funny idea. Habesha version. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Like, I don't know, this Habesha stuff, man. Like, I was recommended to like lean into the African Habesha, all that stuff when I was making content online, and I chose not to because it's very limiting. But maybe I can include some stuff, or have George take over the country. Yeah, that's funny too. Washam? I don't know what that means, man. Is that internet lingo for something? Let's see. Computers get slower. For example, the first computer booted in like a second because it has more things to load on the software. If you were to open a modern Chrome tab, won't let me type anymore. Chrome tab on an old computer, which I think is impossible. It will crash, but hardware is a lot better. Yeah. I mean, I have a Chromebook. I mean, it is superior in a lot of ways. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me that it takes millions of lines of code to write hello world on some website, which is essentially true. Like the servers that host the page have millions of lines of code, the networks that they run through, the router that it runs through. Like, it blows my mind how bloated software has become. I think Jonathan Blow, game designer and developer, talks about this. I think he makes a very good case for this about how everything is getting worse and bloated and bugs everywhere because of it, because people don't even understand what the computer's doing anymore. Like when you put so many layers of abstraction on things, like you're sort of disconnected from what it actually. This is why I appreciate like learning C right now, because I'm understanding like, oh, this is how you handle memory. Oh, here are what pointers are. You actually can store the location of information, and then this is how you would use it to be very efficient. And it's not a, a very verbose language. I mean, it's like the book I'm reading right now is only 8 chapters, but it just like it gives you a lot of control, but that means you do a lot of things yourself. And I kind of appreciate that. It's just like you actually understand then how the thing works, at least on a deeper level. I might have to learn assembly too, just so I really appreciate the improvement C gave us for that kind of work. That's New Orleans lingo for what's up. Did you ever have a hood phase? Or has this always been you? That's a great question. Did I have a hood phase? I used to wear like super large tees. That's as hood as I got. I don't know if you guys remember the 90s where you just wore oversized t-shirts and stuff. Like I used to wear shirts bigger than what I wear now, and I was a lot skinnier. So I will cheeseburger could become immortal so we can launch them into space. I wish cheeseburger could become immortal. All right. I don't know. Yeah, this has always been me. Actually, I think I'm cooler now than, I don't know. I mean, like I've always been into like nerdish things, you know, like, and here's the thing. I was unabashedly, open about all this stuff. Like, I remember, like, I never thought it was weird. I just think it's cool. I think it's cool, so it's cool. That's the way I've always been. And yeah, everyone else didn't understand it. They thought it was nerdy, whatever. And it's just like, he's just weird. And it's like, I don't care. I just do my own thing. So not only was I weird and different from everyone, or at least most people that I grew up with, but I was also unashamed about it. In fact, I know what I like and I know what's cool and sort of confident about it too. So it's like this weird combination that worked well for me. And so I was not into what everyone else was into. You know, everyone talked about the music, sports. They were into like that, I guess, all the street stuff, whatever. It's just like, that was never me, man. And I'm just like, I can't have a conversation with you guys. I remember all the time just hanging out with a bunch of the guys and just like they're talking about sports, top 5 rappers, blah, 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 this music, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I don't care, dog. I don't care. You guys want to talk about this? I don't know. I just took apart this vacuum. You guys want to talk about it? I know people didn't care for it, so I just didn't bring it up. But like, Habesha hood face is 50-50. I always wore my clothes correctly. Now tight jeans are in. I don't know. Habesha hood fit. That is an interesting thing because like Habeshas typically have a widow's peak. You can't see it on my head, but Habeshas have a widow's peak. That is a recessive gene as far as I remember. And so I remember a lot of like the people I grew up with who were also East African used to shave that so they can get the straight line like Black Americans have. And I was just like, all right. Or, you know, like the haircuts every like 2 days or something. Like, dude, I let my hair go wild when I had it. Even my beard is a reflection of how I treated my hair back then. Like, I don't know. I don't care about, I don't know. I just never cared. Yeah, mine was heavy. I never shaved it. Yeah, it's the Vegeta hair. I don't know why you would get rid of it. That's the way I always saw it. I'm like, that's dope. I mean, yeah, people didn't like Vegeta as a kid. Yeah, whatever. Broke back Mexican is back. What's up, bro? Soul Market, what's good? Do you like Thomas the Tank Engine? Do you want to become a tank engine? No, I can't remember. I don't remember if I ever was into that. I used to read a lot. Books are really cool. I still read. You know, I have moments where I read and the moments I don't. So like maybe even after this, I might read a book. I'm reading like 3 books at a time, not in a sort of like diligent sort of way, in a sort of like, oh, I feel inspired to read this thing right now. I feel motivated to do this, so I'll just do it. Obviously, the first one's the Bible. I'm still working my way through it. I'm about halfway through. I'm on a journey to read it cover to cover. And it's weird, like on second and third readings of certain books, you get more information out of it. So I'm looking forward to the second reading, and I'm going to do a different translation when I. Right now, I'm doing the New International Version. I kind of want to. Next one will probably be the Message, so it's easier to read. I'm also reading an Nassim Taleb book, Skin in the Game. I'm reading an advertising book, and then The Prince, Machiavelli. I just got that book. So I just started reading that too. So, and I just like pick up a book and start reading, and I have books everywhere. So I think that's the way to do it. If you struggle to read and you want to read, like first find things you want to read. It doesn't necessarily have to be these tomes, these like textbooks that people, respectable books. They could be magazines, they can be comic books, even. Anything that gets you reading words on pages is worth reading and worthy of starting. And then as you read more and more, you get used to the written word, you get used to sentence structure and styling. Like even the Bible was hard to read at first, and now it's becoming easier because I'm used to the way the words, the language structure, which is not, it's not the modern way of writing. It's essentially, so like you just start reading, and then once you get comfortable with that, you start reading more and more, and then you start being open to pretty much reading anything. I'll listen to the audiobook Ancient Aliens. Okay. I don't know. I listen to podcasts too when I go on a walk. So those are really useful too, by the way. But I don't do audiobooks. Maybe I should consider, but like it's just so weird to me. Like in a world long ago, there was blah blah blah. It's just like I don't know. It's just like conversational seems to make way more sense for me. Do you think you can chew up a glass pane enough to where the shards become small enough to where you can swallow? If it's sugar glass, I mean, that's how glass in TV is like made when it breaks, whatever, it's actually sugar. So yes, you can chew that. You can chew, if it's not too thick, you can chew that. So it's glass-ish. It's fake glass, but yeah, you could do that. I might, it'd be cool to make some and just like make a giant window of glass. I've been thinking like I meet with this group of people every week, and I always bring something I bake. I've been getting into baking. It's a reason enough to bake something because I don't know. I don't like showing up to someone's house empty-handed. Maybe that's the Habesha in me, you know? Like if you remember, like if you're Eritrean or Ethiopian, whatever, the tradition is when you go to someone's house, you don't come empty-handed. You got to bring something. I remember like my parents doing this all the time, and I sort of like carry that tradition now too. When I show up to these people's house, like I'm eating with these people, so I might as well just bring something. So I'll bake something. So I've been getting into baking, and I'm like, ooh, what else can I make? I don't know. I guess I could bring the same thing every day, but every week, but I've been like pushing it. So, are you prone to plosives? Maybe, but maybe not. Prone to plosives. If you guys don't know what plosives are, it's that stuff. I'm hoping this helps though. But maybe I am. Maybe I am. Prone to plosives. You have a lot of weird questions, man. I appreciate it, King Kumar. Z. The Z doesn't seem like it fits. You should just do King Kumar. KK. Don't add another K. You know how people used to text like instead of saying okay, they would just put the letter K. Maybe if like you're being mean or whatever. I remember someone I used to text with, they would always use K, and then as a joke, or like KK would be another way. But then as a joke, I would always type KKK. Oh no, it's funny. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Have you thought about buying ads and selling something done? What do you mean? Oh, so like a finished product? Uh, like drop shipping. I guess it wouldn't be drop shipping. I guess if you bought in bulk and then sold it. I haven't thought about doing that, which is interesting. Maybe I should look into it because like I buy parts off of AliExpress all the time. So like I bought this audio amplifier from AliExpress, but like drop shipping on TikTok. ooh, that's actually a really interesting idea because like a lot of this stuff is flat pack. Like this isn't necessarily because I think this connector here is like over a quarter inch thick, but like it, you know how Radio Shack used to exist? Like if you needed to buy resistors or like electronic component, obviously this would be a bad items to sell because it doesn't have popularity or whatever. But imagine like running an electronic store like Radio Shack with like all these like one-off. You need resistors or capacitors or something that you can ship in envelopes, and that would dramatically reduce the cost of shipping, especially if you can keep it under an ounce. So like let's say you needed 10 resistors. You can't really buy just 10 resistors anywhere. There's no Radio Shack, there's no parts bin you can look into, at least in most places of the country. But then it's also like low price goods, so it's also a terrible business. But it would just be really cool. I haven't thought about selling anything specific. Oh, no. Actually, yes, Black Jesus. I did think of selling something. And I actually bought a bunch. I just never, I have a draft of it on the Shopify website. I haven't actually posted it for sale. But Apple Watch bands, the idea being like, all right, if I'm selling these wallets that I'm making, it's a men's brand, men's accessories. I figured watch bands might make sense too. So I bought Apple Watch bands. But it's like a nylon strap, so it kind of fits with the whole nylon fabric theme. I just haven't posted it for sale on the Shopify yet. I think that's a gray hair, or maybe not. But yeah, so that's something I have. And so, like, I mean, each of the watch bands cost like $250 a piece. And they hold up well because I wear them. Here's the thing: before I sell anything, I test it out for at least a week, usually a couple weeks at least, using it myself before I put it up for sale. So all these wallets, whenever I make an improvement or a new version, I use it for at least a week, closer to 2, before I publish it for sale. Now for the watch band, I did the same thing. My current watch band is the watch band I got from AliExpress, and it turns out like. There are sellers on Amazon that sell it for like $20. But I was thinking like it could be a cool add-on item. So if you buy a wallet, maybe you can buy a watch band that matches. And so I have different colors. The colors the black matches, the blue's kind of there. The red, not so much. The green actually looks pretty cool. So yeah, I'm considering that. But I haven't published it. I should. Thank you for reminding me. Hey, bro, your alternator is watering in the background? Sure. Alternator. Favorite browser? Firefox. Chrome is... I like their developer tools, but I mean, Firefox has developer tools too. Even your magnetic shades with 5-color. Here's the thing. These magnetic shades, these are custom to the glasses. First of all, you have to have the glasses. Then you have to get the lenses, then you have to drill the holes, and everything about this is custom, right? Everything. Like the glasses are prescription. Like I don't know if I could figure out a way to productize these, I would, because like they're very cool. But putting the magnets in the glass frames themselves, then putting this, maybe if I sold non-prescription glasses that also came with these, then it's just a standard thing that I could sell to everybody. Like I guess it's a fashion piece. So like, hey, if you wear glasses like this for fashion, and then you wanted also sunglasses, you wanted yellow lights, whatever, maybe I could do that. So maybe I could look into it, but like how much would people pay for something like that? I would have to find the frames and all that. The frames aren't non-prescription frames would cost like about $10. Less than that, probably like $6-7. The lenses here would be about $4 to $6 a piece. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna sell something for $29.99, the rule is a multiple of 4. That's what you're looking for, your cost of goods. So if you do $30, $29.99 divided by 4 would be about 7. So the rule is whatever it costs, the cost of goods sold, which should include labor, but because this should be a finished product where labor should not be a factor in that. That means if you're going to sell it for $30, it can't cost you more than $7.50 to actually procure.
just using standard e-commerce rules. I prefer a 10x multiple. So for me, that it would have to cost less than about $3 for it to make sense for me, because but I mean I am building these things by hand. But yeah, but even then, like the problem with, and see that's the thing, I sell these wallets for $35 now. The problem with like even it sounds expensive, but like it's a one-time sale and it's expensive to get a customer. And so that's the issue with like, oh, come on, man. I got to reset this. My bad. Like FaceTime. Let's do Cam Link. Cool. We're back. But the problem with like a low price item, especially when it's a one-time purchase, like a wallet would be, is that it's so hard to get new customers. That's why this is why software is such an advantage, especially if it's a SaaS, because you can get recurring thing without it costing you too much. Or if it's like this is why supplements are also very competitive, because it's such a lucrative business if you win, because you can charge a lot for supplements because it's related to survival essentially, or at least you can play into that whole thing, like self-preservation kind of thing. So it's a motivating fear of death kind of thing. So you can charge a lot, but then also people make repeat purchases, because if they like it and they enjoy it and it's working for them, then they'll continue to buy. And so you don't have to spend the money to acquire that customer continually. Whereas a one-off item, this is what makes it so hard. And so like this is where having name recognition and fame and familiarity really are a big advantage. Like my competitor in this space for wallets is the biggest one is probably Ridge Wallets. They've been in existence since 2013 and they have a huge budget. They spend one third of their revenue on marketing. And they do 300 million a year, which means $100 million is spent on advertising. $100 million. That's their marketing efficiency rate. One third of what they make from a customer gets spent on advertising. That's how expensive it is. And so like, if you don't have the margins for that, you're kind of screwed, especially selling a one-off item. So like the wallets thing, like that's why it's such a bad business to run. But if I can pull this off, selling anything would be way easier, which is why I'm using this as a learning opportunity. Plus, I mean, obviously I'm finding these efficiencies in like software and shipping, which means I can actually offer that to other people. So I imagine that's going to be the revenue generator in the future. But at least in the near term, I can sell these wallets and learn e-commerce and how tough a business it is. It is crazy, man. It really is. It's a tough business. This is why, like, unfortunately, because of the way ads work and their auction systems, naturally it means the people who can spend the most, who have the largest margin, get to spend the most, and they can push they can push that auction up, which prices out people who don't have the money to spend. And so in theory, the theory is the person who can spend the most money on advertising has the best product, because they have the most money to spend, they're the most successful. But that's, I think, a flawed conclusion, which these tech companies don't quite understand, because it's in their interest to believe that to be true. Because the one who charges the most, who can spend the most on advertising, isn't necessarily the best product. It could be the best funded, or the most well-known, or the oldest. Because they're the oldest, they're the most well-known. And so, like, this is the unfortunate reality of all this stuff. Which is why you guys wonder why you see so much TikTok Shop ads on why you see so much TikTok Shop. It's because it dramatically dropped the cost of getting a customer to basically zero. Otherwise, they would have to spend money on advertising. And a lot of these people actually promote their videos. But the reason why you see shop ads is because it dramatically helps the bottom line for small businesses who don't have money to spend on advertising, because you just need a video to pop off. Or you can send your product, which basically costs nothing to make in terms of how, at least compared to how much money you spend on marketing. So you can give it away for free to all these creators, and then they can be your advertising vehicle for you. And yeah, you give them a piece, but it's far, far more affordable than paying for the advertising yourself, which is why you see so much ads on TikTok. Like, you ever wonder why you see those pop-up pages on e-commerce where it's just like, as soon as you visit the site, that you haven't visited before, it says, hey, would you like 30% off? Put your email here and we'll send you the coupon. Do you know why they do that? The reason they do that is because it's so expensive to have gotten your eyeball to their page in the first place. They want to be able to reach you again in the future. And so they're willing to take a huge cut on the price that they're selling their product for. And so they're not thinking about this purchase that you'll be making on that visit if you do make a visit or if you do make a purchase, but rather their ability to contact you in the future so they can sell you on email marketing or sell you through marketing in emails. Because it's so expensive. Like a lot of businesses, a lot of e-commerce brands, they don't make money on the first sale. They make money on the second and subsequent sales. And so it's just like, this is the game. This is the game. It's crazy. Favorite sport? Oh, man. I don't know. That changes every now and then. Right now, by favorite sport, if you ask like what I would want to play, I would want to get into track cycling. So I haven't been watching videos or anything, but I've been really itching to get a track bike or at least a fixie so I can like just ride. What's on your shirt? This is the microphone for TikTok. So yeah, good to see you, Matt Carpenter. Good to see you too, man. Buy the best 3D printer. What do you mean? I have a 3D printer. Like the thing with 3D printing is like, yeah, the cost of making goods is very cheap, but I think 3D printing makes sense as a tool, as a way to build tools, not necessarily to build finished products. I know there are plenty of people on here who do that, who sell like all these items and figurines, which I'm pretty sure a lot of them are trademarked. Print glass frames. Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be a thing. Here's the thing. There is a guy, what's his name? He makes glass frames out of denim. He charges like $300 for each of those frames. And I think it's worth it considering the amount of effort it takes to like make glass frames out of denim. But they're a vibe. What are your PC specs? It's a MacBook, dude. So about this Mac, let's see. Because whatever. Memory 16 gigabytes. It's the M1 Pro, so it's the ARM based CPU. More info. Yeah, it's the M1 Pro. 14-inch. Yeah. Not much to talk about on that one. But yeah, if you're going to get into business, I would recommend find something you can charge a lot for, or at least charge repeatedly for, that people want. This is the hard game to play. This is why the typical business advice people give is like solve rich people problems, because they pay better, they're easier customers to work with, and you're not like constantly having to struggle with this balance of like acquiring customers for this low price product. I like the idea that I'm like making. It's sort of like grassroots selling because like it's $35, man. And I cover taxes and shipping. I don't like the idea of like you adding all these things to your cart and then you see shipping and taxes that increase the price significantly. And you're just like, what the hell, dude? No, what you see is what you pay. And so $35 flat. I might be increasing the price soon once I figure out a way to make this one improvement to these things. I haven't quite solved it yet, but once I do, and once I build name recognition and stuff, I'm going to have to increase the prices of this, but also still building tools. So like, yeah, 3D print the glass frames. That could be one way to do it. I've been even thinking about plastic injection, but even if you do plastic injection of a custom frame, you're going to spend so much money on tooling. It's crazy. Like tooling is expensive, like $10K minimum to build a mold. But it would be interesting. Let's see, AliExpress. And a hack for AliExpress. Sometimes credit cards can have an issue with like, at least it used to for me. I just use PayPal. So you have that sort of protection there. Eyeglass frames for men. Let's do for men. That'd be an interesting product to sell. Super light, comfortable, Rubber titanium eyewear, square glass frames, myopia, optical prescription glasses for frame. I wonder if it comes with lenses. I think it's just the frame. Whoa, that's pretty cool. It bends. It might have shape memory metal in here. That might be what it is. And they kind of look like these frames too. I might have to just order these. Just oh no, they normally go for $11. Never mind. That's not gonna work. Very good. It looks resistant. The value's okay. I can't tell if they come. Yeah, they come with lenses. I might have to look into that. Thanks for the idea, man. But and then I'd have to do the post processing of manufacturing, putting the magnets in there, and then finding the lenses that can fit over it. That's the thing. There's a limit on how much you can charge on these things, especially if you're new. So that's a tough thing. That's why I think software would be a better. If you can get into software, yeah, this is why people get into software. And so like the shipping advantage that I found by selling these wallets, which I like and I found works. If I can build it out, then I can make 40 cents for every order that someone sends using this. That's, I think, what I would charge. And it could be hundreds of dollars a month, depending on how many orders that they have per customer per month. See, that's the thing. Like, and this is why people get into business to business instead of business to consumer, because consumers don't have budget, dude. Unless, yeah, like they don't. Like most consumers are living paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately. Businesses, if you can guarantee, and here's the thing, when it comes to business sales, I heard this on a podcast and it makes so much sense. What you're selling isn't a product or service or good or anything like that. What you're selling is money. You're selling that business more money. So if your product or service can make them more money or save them money in some way, a significant amount of money in some way, then it's easy to sell and you'll be making money hand over fist because you get a piece of that money that they save. It's not a expense to them. It's free money to them. And so that's because like what they're paying you comes out of the savings or the gain that they get from your product or service. And if you can find something like that, then you're basically printing money yourself too. This is how Alex Hormozy, like all the business stuff, if any of you guys seen his stuff on social media where he talks about business, whatever, that's how he made that $43.2 million. Well, that's the business he sold, Gym Launch. Gym Launch was promising people more money and he could guarantee it. Like, hey, you struggle to launch a business here or a gym, your gym barely makes any money and you're barely making it. I have this whole program. I have the ads that you can run. I have a system. I have how to close customers. I have a script. I have the sales guys. I can teach you all of it. And I can guarantee your gym will be full and you'll be able to make hand over fist. Whatever you're going to pay me, the tens of thousands of dollars you're going to pay me, you're going to make multiples of that. And he could guarantee it. And one of the advantages he had at the time was Facebook. Facebook was underpricing their ads at the time. Now they're a lot more expensive than they used to be. Do you use OBS? No, I use StreamYard. I should be using OBS. I recently got into gaming. I have a Stadia controller. I've been playing PS2 games. So maybe later this week I'll game on Twitch or YouTube, whatever. But yeah, back to this whole like selling people money. That's what you're doing. If you can sell someone money, it's easy to sell. And so that's what he did. And that's how like you can charge someone 30 grand for your service and they will pay it if they can make multiples of that. And that's what he could guarantee because he had the ads that worked. He had the system on the sales process on how to get people to attend the gym, programs that they could run, all the supplements he also provided, which is the spinoff of that he also launched. And so it's like, and he knew all this stuff because he launched his own gyms. So he learned how to launch gyms. And so like he would open with a packed gym every time. And he taught other people how to do that. And by being able to do that, you're basically selling money to these gym owners, which they could not do themselves. And so he sold money. And that's essentially what you have to do as a business for business to business sales. And they can all justify spending 30 grand on your service because they'll be making 10 times that by using your service. So if you have a skill or good or service or product that can do that for some business, then you just start the business, man. Then that's a hard thing to do. That's the thing. Like you have to know how to make money in order to be able to sell money. And so this is the interesting thing about like even this wallet sales. I'm learning e-commerce, which is why I can see the pitfalls in this whole business, like how hard it is to get a customer, how much shipping costs eat into the profit margins. Because like even original price for this was $20. Using USPS ground shipping is $4 if you buy it through Shopify, which means already a fifth of the money that comes from a customer is going to just shipping. If instead I can use a stamp, I get to save $3.30, which doesn't sound like much, but after advertising costs, which were $6 to $10, so like really left over is $10 for profit. After I cover taxes, we're talking about like $8 I actually get to keep. And then on top of that, paying $4 for USPS ground shipping means I only make $4 off of a $20 wallet sale. Instead, if I use a stamp and I use USPS intelligent mail barcodes, I can just use a stamp, which is 70 cents or 72 cents or 73 cents right now, which means I get to keep an extra $3 from as profit, which means I've literally close to doubled my take home from $4 to nearly $8, which is a huge margin for a lot of low margin, low price goods that can fit into an envelope. And that's money I can sell to a customer. Just like, hey, like right now you're paying $4 for shipping or you're charging customers shipping. Instead, what if you can offer free shipping and it doesn't cost you anything other than the cost of a stamp? And then I can make 40 cents off of that, which doesn't sound like much, but I mean like if you do hundreds of orders or at least 100 orders, that's like $40 from a customer. If they do 500 orders, like you can see that's $200 a month from that one customer. You see, so that's what I'm working on. And the interesting thing is, I would not have discovered this if I didn't start selling. So, if you were a salesman, try to sell me a patch of grass. One way to sell you a patch of grass is to make a hole in your lawn, which some people do. This is a shady way of selling, but they create the problem just to sell you the solution. So if you have a hole in your lawn, it'd be like, hey, I'm selling grass. Let's patch that up real quick. Another way is I could sell you the whole lawn. I could say, hey, your lawn's dying and the dirt is compacted. Let me show you what your lawn could look like. Let me just, on this small portion, I will do it for free. I'll give you a piece of grass, and I'll aerate the dirt, I'll water it, I'll fertilize it, and then I'll put this patch of grass in there. And then I'll say, all right, let's just see how it goes. Now, there's this thing called like, this is a selling strategy where you give them something, but then it looks, by comparison, the rest of their lawn will look horrible. And so then it's sort of like a compelling reason to go fix it because now they know how bad their lawn actually is because you can see how well the grass grows. Imagine you're a salesman. Yeah, so that's probably how I would do it. It's mostly about position. Here's the thing, like, and the thing with selling is like, at least for myself, I've noticed like I can only sell things that I think are worth it. But for me, what I think are worth it is like very, very small. And so like, I got into solar sales briefly. I got into the industry. I got a chance to see people selling solar. And here's the curse of knowledge, man. When you know how the finances of all of it work and how it's just like you realize a lot of families might never make the money back that they're spending on the solar panels, even though everyone I was working with and saw work the doors were so confident that they would. It's just like you kind of have to believe in the thing you're selling. So like, I don't think I would be good at selling grass because I don't even believe in lawns. Lawns don't make sense. So it's like, all right, let's grow this small plant across this wide area. You know, lawns used to be just as a way to show off how wealthy you are. Because it's like you have all this land and we're not going to use it to plant any food. Instead, we're going to just grow this like water hungry plant that stays short, that leaves it empty. It's just ostentatious and stupid. But people have gotten so used to lawns, like it's crazy. Like it seems so wasteful to me. Solar companies keep the government rebates. Yeah, that's essentially how it works out. Like they overcharge for the hardware. Then they usually they charge for installation. They handle everything. It's they sort of handle everything, but at the same time, it's like you're installing these solar units on maybe roofs that shouldn't be installed on, because roofs need to be replaced. Did you guys know that? Like, and so usually then they end up taking out these like long-term 20, 30-year, 20-year loans on these things. And it's just like, oh, you're going to be paying less than what you pay utilities. Yeah, technically, sure. That's if, because here's the thing, when solar panels were early, as a way to incentivize people, and plus because you generate excess electricity during peak hours, it gets sold back to the power plants, the energy companies. And so that's part of the finances of how it all works out. You make money back. So you pay for this extra expense on your house, but the idea is through savings and through getting rebates, basically, or at least refunds, or the power company giving you credits, you make the money back. Now, power companies are realizing enough people are doing this that it's overloading the grid. And also, it's not in their incentive because you're literally in competition with the power company. So they're like, yeah, we're not going to guarantee this anymore. We're not going to give you rebates anymore. And that's what's happening in a lot of places now. And so, like, while it used to be cost effective, now that the power company changed the terms, which they have the right to, unfortunately, then now you're not actually saving money on these units anymore, which then now it's just an expense. And that's a tough thing. On top of like whatever, having to replace your roof, if there's any issues, leaks, if there's any issues, if the thing breaks, if there's any issues with that, cleaning the panels. Did you know solar panels have to be cleaned? Did you know that? It's just crazy, man. It's just like, and then I saw this firsthand doing door-to-door sales. I'm like doing the math on it. I'm like, how can I in good conscience sell this to people without being able to guarantee that they'll be able to save from this? And so that's when it kind of like turned me off to the whole thing, and I just couldn't do it anymore. It lasted 2 weeks. Yeah, you only get credits instead of making money. Yeah, they used to pay you. That's the crazy thing too, which is crazy to think about. Would you rather drink a pound of melted cheese or battery acid? Cheese, because it's food. Battery acid, not so much, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know what kind of acid is used in a typical lead acid battery, but I can't imagine it being too good. But yeah. But it would be interesting. Fashion, I don't know. It's just like, man, you start realizing like how the world really works, and you're just like, and then now it says praise Allah. Okay. How about praise Jesus, the Father? Ooh, let's talk about the patriarchy. Like the father idea, I mean, God being the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit kind of thing. The father thing is really growing on me. Is really, really growing on me. Every industry is corrupt. I don't know if every industry, but I'm noticing a majority, a lot, most of them are in some way. And you start realizing like, oh, they lie to customers, they mislead, or they're not honest and upfront about what they're actually doing. And one of the things with like selling stuff online is I actually want to be honest with people. I want to see, can you conduct business honestly and still be successful? I'm realizing there's shortcuts I could take. I could use fake reviews, which plenty of consumer companies do. Lena Khan, Lena Khan, commissioner of the United States Federal Trade Commission. I think they just did something to address this about fake reviews. Fake reviews, because this is rampant on Amazon, especially too. Fake reviews not only waste people's time and money, but also pollute the marketplace and divert business away from honest competitors. FTC Chair Lena M. Khan said in the news release. FTC bans phony online reviews. People do this all the time in e-commerce, all the time, especially like these young dude e-commerce players. Man, they'll do anything to get a buck, man. It's crazy. I see this stuff on Money Twitter, and it's just like they'll lie, they'll manipulate, they'll bend the rules, break them. Like a lot of TikTok sellers too, they got caught in this months ago where like they were selling copyrighted goods or trademarked goods. So yeah, they design their own product, but they're using like Disney characters, or I think there's one right now that does Pokemon characters. It's just like, I'm pretty sure you guys don't have a license to be 3D printing Pokemon characters, but good luck. like, but yeah, it's just crazy. Like people cheat all the time. Like F1 right now has sent a bunch of cease and desist letters to a lot of Formula One creators, Formula One themed accounts whose primary account or primary content is all about Formula One racing and stuff, but they have some sort of F1 label to what they're making. And all these creators got cease and desist letters. And I don't think people understand when it comes to legal protections. When you get legal protection for what you've created, built, copyright, or own, you have an obligation to protect it. You have an obligation. Like this works with patents too. Just because you get a patent doesn't mean other people can't use it. It means you have the right to defend your exclusivity of it, meaning you have to pay the legal fees and fight. You have to fight for it. And then, yes, you can win legal fees as part of it, but you have an obligation. What you're signing up for is the proof. Government gives you this proof that you can use in the court of law that it belongs to you, but you have to exercise it. If you don't exercise your right to own, your right of intellectual ownership of something, then you invalidate it. If you're aware of it being violated and you don't protect it, then it's sort of like you're giving permission to use it. So I'm pretty sure that's what Formula One is facing right now, which is why they have to send these cease and desist letters, not because they want to all these small creators. Now they have to say something, whatever, but explaining the legalities of this stuff doesn't make sense to the average consumer, you know? So like they're in this tough situation. Probably, I'm not making excuses. Formula One is an elitist sport, whatever. Like screw corporations, I'm with you on that. But at the same time, like just because you get legal protections, you have to exercise them. What do you think about online verification and IDs? I think it has to be voluntary, but I'm for them. I'm for them if they're voluntary. The mandatory stuff is when you get into like some really dark territory. But like a voluntary credit system could be useful because like, I don't know, why do I have to be checked when I'm leaving Walmart? Which I haven't been checked in a long time. I have a don't give a attitude when I'm walking past that checker. So like they don't ask me, but like I'm not stealing anything. Like, and I'm not like trying to cheat the self checkout either. I don't know. We could talk about that, like this whole thing. Like I can go off on that. Everyone is selling Andrew Tate's course online, and he can't even go after them because he's in jail. I guess. I mean, like courses. I don't know. I feel some type of way about courses because it's just like you can't guarantee people will actually like. Yeah, here's the thing. He does a low price point. I think it's like $20 a month, so you can easily make more than $20 online. Just go on Craigslist, offer some sort of service for somebody. You can make $20. People are always looking for like, it's not hard to make internet money just in a pure sense. It's hard to start a business online for sure. Hey, what's up, man? Farai, am I saying your name right? Farai, what's up? Or have an account to enter Walmart, like Costco. Ooh, memberships. Yeah, so memberships are essentially IDs. Yeah, you pay for access. And Costco is an interesting company. They're one of the rare few who actually do put the customer first because they set a ceiling on how much they can make their profit margins on goods. It's like a little over 14% is what they're looking for. And if things become cheaper or more affordable for them, they pass it off to the consumer. So they make primarily a bulk of their money from the membership stuff. And to the point where Like if you spend a certain amount, they recommend, they'll even urge you to upgrade because it's better for you to upgrade your membership. Because you get I think a 3% discount or 2% discount cash back, which basically pays for the membership itself if you spend at least, I think $6,000 there per year. The social credit system will happen organically. It doesn't even have to be done by the government. Yeah, I think so. Costco doesn't lose much in theft. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, how could you? I mean, like, how are you going to walk out? And they also Costco attracts a higher caliber of clientele. So they somehow attract cost conscious, wealthy people or wealthier people who are cost conscious, which is a weird combination because people who have excess money, who have money to spend, typically will aren't typically cost. So they fall in this like weird area where not only are the customers cost conscious, but they also are of higher class. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know how better way to say it, but you guys know what I mean. You need some advice? All right, yeah, go ahead. I'll try my best. Hopefully I can help you. Uber gives you a customer rating. Other businesses will as well. Yeah. And I'm not opposed to customer ratings because there's a class of customer who is just awful to deal with. Like I'm getting used to this from just even selling something online. Like I've had 2 customers who have been kind of, who were just like, it's not what I expected. I'm like, did you not see the website? Like I took pictures. I have a video. Like it's very clear like what the product is. And I'm like, you know what? Issued a refund. Dude, whatever. Keep the wallet, throw it away. I don't care. And it's only been 2 people out of the 160 orders I've fulfilled, which, I mean, there's always going to be that client, that type of customer. I'm close to starting university. I'm thinking of studying computer science. What resources, preferably for free, would you recommend I use before I begin classes? Ooh, that's actually a very good question for you to be asking right now. All right, so if you have no experience coding and you want something that you can learn that will be immediately useful, I'm going to put it in the chat. Here's how I learned. I learned JavaScript. If you're completely new to this stuff, where HTML, web technology is probably the most useful, at least immediately, I use Free Code Camp. Here's the link. Super easy to use. If you want a web-based integrated development environment, Riplet. ID. If you want a web-based Riplet that's, let's say you're not in a place that has access to, or you don't have access to computers or high spec computers that can handle bigger projects or whatever, you can use Replit for that. But basically, Free Code Camp is what I would recommend for anyone who wants to just learn software. Also, is being a software developer in this day and age really worth it? People always need things automated and stuff. Like I'm currently building an electronic device. I'm learning C programming right now, so I can do embedded systems. I don't recommend it as a first language because it's challenging and it's hard to make it useful, at least in the short term, which is why web. I mean, people always need tools, online tools and APIs and stuff like that. Uber. What I mean is you don't see people stealing carts of items like they do at Walmart. Yeah. Tell him to change his major. It's too late. LOL. Urchins learn code in middle school. Really? I mean, like mechanical. I mean, as far as any of the other STEM engineering stuff, computer science is where it's at. Like, it's hard to get a job as a mechanical engineer or civil. There's a longer process to that. Like, start a business is the thing I would recommend, but I mean, like, I can't say I figured it out. I'm still learning. Like, I'm stumbling through this. Like, once I figure it out, maybe I could give some advice, but I'm doing e-commerce, which is not even a good idea. Like, electrical engineer. I mean, yeah, I guess, but like, all right, so you want to design circuits and devices and stuff like that? Sure. But like, there's plenty of that talent in overseas. So, and that's where the stuff is going to get made anyways. So, I don't know. I don't know about electrical engineering. I mean, like people always need electrical engineers, people always need mechanical engineers. It's just a matter of like, will you be able to find those jobs where you are? Which, I mean, it's going to be hard if they don't, because manufacturing isn't much of a thing that happens in this country. Obviously, there are, or IT and network administrators. I guess you could do that, but that just seems so boring. But it's still useful to learn a little bit of software. I'm not saying you have to get into a computer science. Computer science is a lot of theory. It is useful to understand things on a deeper level if you care to. But like, I mean, web tech, it's always work from home, I guess. But the next time a CrowdStrike crash happens and breaks the world economy, network administrators are the ones who have to show up and fix these blue screens of death. I guess you could do it if you care. I don't know. I saw the IT guys at the corporation I was working at. I was just like, it's sort of chill, I think, a lot of the time. But you're dealing with a lot of people who are computer illiterate. And so you have to have patience. Let's see. Thanks for the link, man. I really appreciate it. I'm actually an international viewer from Zambia, Africa. I've begun following you from Instagram. Yeah. All right. So if you're in Africa, yeah, internet's an issue there. See, I don't know. See, that's a tough thing. Like, I don't know. Like, do you have access to computers? If you do, then yeah, I don't know. This is the tough thing because like you can do all this stuff, but if you don't have the opportunities, then you're kind of stuck. Computers will always be useful in some way. Automation will always be useful, but I think the intersection of the world of atoms and the world of bits, which is basically like the physical world and the computing world, I think that's where the real value can be had these days. And that's what I'm attempting with my own life. Like I build physical stuff, but I'm also working on electronics, and I think that might be it. I don't know, man. Like find a need that people have and try to solve it. A big need that people have and try to solve it. So like, and that's the thing, I can't even tell you what it is because you kind of have to know it. And local's better. Niche is always better, at least in the beginning. But Zambia, I don't know much about Zambia, so it's kind of tough for me to give you an answer on that. But as far as like learning computer science, whatever, if you just want to learn how to code, find a programming book and follow it. Learn structure, learn how code is written, learn about computer science concepts, learn how a computer actually works. That's actually useful in understanding like what you're doing. And then you learn different, you don't, the language you choose does not matter. What matters is thinking in a way, in a logical way, because that's what you're doing. That's what all these algorithms and coding is. It's just thinking about a logical way of solving a puzzle. That's all it is. And so like first language I learned was Fortran, but that was a requirement in college. Never used it for anything, but I mean, that was my introduction to like solving problems. And now I'm getting back into it, going through this C programming book. Like, all right, now print and a reverse array, or I don't know, it just has all these problems, whatever. Like, what if you're not the entrepreneurial type? Yeah, I know. That's tough. Find a business or find someone who is. If you're not entrepreneurial, find someone who is and partner with them. Work at McDonald's? No, I wouldn't say. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess you could work at. What if you don't want to do that either? First language I learned was Python. Yeah, that's also a good first language I hear. It definitely does a lot of things for you that if you learn C, you would appreciate. But yeah, if you're not the entrepreneurial type, find someone who is, and then just like be the person who can do the things they can't do. Because you start realizing like the entrepreneurial type. My brother is an entrepreneurial type in terms of like, he's a money guy for sure. Not so much a builder, but he's definitely a money guy. He is money focused, and that's what you need. Like I'm not, and I know this is why like it's going to be hard. This is why it's been so slow and hard for me. Even like doing all this content and stuff, money was the least concern for me on any of this stuff. For me, it's just like I kind of want to push the culture a little bit. build the audience just for the sake of it, say things that should be said. Money's at the bottom. So I'm not concerned about it at all. Obviously, I'm trying to make this sustainable. So I'm experimenting with like different ways of making money so that it is sustainable in the long term. But like money is not a concern for me. So that's why like it has to be on top of your mind if you want to be successful in business. This is the thing, like I think a lot of these business gurus don't tell you and they don't even realize is that they are obsessed with money. Everyone else isn't. Everyone else isn't. And they don't get it because they're like, they only know themselves. And so it's just like, that's why all the advice is like, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, you just need to be able to make money, charge as much as you can. You'll learn to like it. It's just like, no, people don't work like that because people aren't obsessed with money like that. If people were obsessed, they would be them, you know? And so you start realizing that's how it is. Then you have a whole other class of like people who are trying to like change the world type, Bezos types. Those are different. And that's not most people, I would say. Yeah, there's plenty of access to computers. However, I'm planning of pursuing my studies in the States for the exposure. Okay. I mean, yeah, you don't have to wait till you get to the States though. Like you'll have a huge leg up if you just start now. Start tomorrow. Start even right now. You can leave the stream. I give you permission to leave the stream, to just open up. If you have access to a computer right now and the internet, then just start learning. Start with their first course. Their first course, let's see, what is it? What's it? Get started. It's free, obviously. So they have specializations too, but start with web design certification, JavaScript algorithms and data structures, front-end development. So that's React and other types of frameworks, data visualization. I don't know what that is. A relational databases. So you get to learn some backend stuff, backend development and API certification. So you get to learn how to spin up a server. I went through that. Quality assurance. I don't care about QA. Scientific computing with Python. That's interesting. So if you want to get into data and AI and understand matrices and all that stuff, data analysis with Python, information security, machine learning, college algebra. So why would they be teaching college algebra? Because a lot of software is just math. They also have Learn English for developers. Interesting. I did not know that. So you kind of have to know English because everything technical is written in English, unfortunately. And then interview courses and stuff. So consider that. Let's see. First language. Man, every place I look, they always say JavaScript, even though Python is way better. Yeah, I mean, you could use Python. I'm sure there's some libraries you can use that are Python for web. Python for web. And here's the thing, Python would actually be really useful in the back end stuff. I prefer back end, honestly. Like front end stuff is so annoying to me. Just like pushing pixels is basically what it feels like. But like, what's that? Django is Python based, as far as I understand. Web framework for, let's see, I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, Python. So you can use any language for anything. There are libraries and frameworks for anything, for everything. So it's like, it really shouldn't matter. I guess it's just if they do things a certain way, they want you to just fit in like a cog in their giant machine instead of like, hey, we can just write all this, whatever. What is it that you do that generates revenue? I mean, I make wallets. Like, that's what I do. It's very low right now, but if I can get it, here's the thing. It's not going to take much for it to be significant. It's just like it's a delicate balance between ad spend, and I haven't figured out the ad spend part. The margins on this are insane, but I haven't figured out ad spend and customer acquisition yet. If I can figure that problem out, it'll be super easy. I'm also building tools to like make these faster, but that's what I do. I just need 3 million. Why 3 million? So that you could put it in the stock market and just collect off of that. Sell olive oil in a bottle and call it beard oil. That's like a liquid death sort of strategy. And that's not a bad idea, honestly. Like, I think I talked about like, here's the thing. All my ideas are not lucrative, but super interesting. That's what I've noticed. A lot of my ideas are not lucrative. ideas. And so that's the issue. Like if you can find a lucrative idea, then do that. But like that's hard to come up with unless you're in a space that is full of lots of money. So this is why people's standard things people get into is like real estate, finance, all this stuff, because the money's already there or the asset values are there. And the closer and closer you get to consumer goods, the less you make off of each one of these. And so then it becomes a thing. Off to learn. Wish me luck. Good luck, man. Yeah. God bless you, man. What should I do to make the most of my time whilst I study in the States so that I can go back and develop my nation? Build stuff. While you're in school, build stuff. That's the thing. Like, this is the thing, universities, I wish they would, like, people think you just get the degree, you go to the courses, you do the work, and you're like, oh, okay, so now I'm hireable and I can do things in the world. It's like, no, you learned a lot of theory. You learned how to take tests well. You passed a lot of tests, but that doesn't mean you actually know how to create something real in the world, which is why I would say build things while you're in school. That's what I did as a mechanical engineer. I was part of this student organization competition, Design, Build, Fly, where we designed. They would give us criteria on, or like basically, yeah, design criteria and missions that we would have to complete, and we would have to design an aircraft that fit within that criteria, and completed those missions, and we competed with other schools. And that's where I got a lot of hands-on work in actually building something, helping with the design work of designing this aircraft, our seaplane, and then actually building it ourselves. We had to build it ourselves. So this is where I got a lot of hands-on work, building, doing composite layups. So carbon fiber, fiberglass, worked with all that stuff, mixing epoxy, putting in spars and actually laying the stuff out, vacuum bagging, cutting out foam wings, using a hot wire, all that stuff, using scroll saws to cut and finish this stuff, building everything, wiring, electronics, motors, radio systems, all that stuff. Learned all that stuff, which none of the coursework taught. None of the coursework actually was hands-on. So that's what I was able to do. So I would recommend build while you're in school. And plus you're with like-minded. And then also find someone who you can build with. This is why you wonder why like a lot of these software companies, they started off in college students, whatever, and all that stuff is because it's the one time where you can like devote your life to learning and then also finding like-minded people who are intellectually as competent as you are to partner with, who maybe have the same vibe, and you guys don't know anything better, so you're foolish enough to think that you can do some amazing things, and rarely people pull it off, but they do. To open a bank and loan money out with imaginary money. Yeah, it's like fractional reserve banking. Turns out it's a lot easier to buy a bank than it is to start one. So buy a bank instead if you can. Yeah, fractional reserve banking is crazy. Did you guys know that? You only need 10% of the money. You only need 10% of the money you actually loan out in the bank. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like, oh, this is why banks blow up. Like what Silicon Valley Bank had this issue where a lot of their customers and a lot of their loans weren't actually loans. They were sort of like investments. And when startups fail, they lose the money. And so now they're basically sort of don't have enough funds to cover all the there's a sort of, they're constantly tracking how much they have in reserve to make sure they're within legal limits. But if there's blood in the water, if people smell that you might go insolvent, then everyone pulls their money out at the same time. And that was the issue with Silicon Valley Bank. It's not that they were insolvent. It's that everyone was scared that they might be. And so they pulled all their money out at the same time. And because of fractional reserve banking, no bank has enough money that everyone can do withdrawals at the same time, which means then basically they would go broke. Or they would be overdrawn essentially as a bank. And so that's how a bank failure actually happens. It's not because they couldn't supply daily operations. It's that when there's panic scenarios No one wants to be the person who left their money in the bank when there was no money left. And so that's what happened to Silicon Valley Bank. And so this is why they had to be injected with money to cover the balances that they had. And so you realize oh, fractional reserve banking leads to vulnerability. It does. And so I wonder, here's the thing. I have this idea of I think I've mentioned it before on the live stream, but Patreon, except instead of paying a creator $3 or $5 or whatever, instead you pay a monthly sort of Netflix subscription fee that gets distributed across all the creators that you follow across all the social media. So each one would get cents or tens of cents for as a part of the monthly fee that you're paying. And the only way I think this could work is if I might have to start a bank in order to make something like that work. I've been thinking about this idea. We could talk about it deeper if you guys want, but it's this idea that it's like a true micro economy through microtransactions. But yeah. Sorry, before I go, when you said build, can it also be related to software or just strictly hard? No. Yeah, it could be software. So build software, build stuff, apps, APIs, whatever, come up with interesting things, challenging things, and build them, especially if they're useful. So if you can find local businesses or industries that are still living in the past, who could use the value. Here's the thing: when you learn software, you're going to start realizing all the places it can be used in. So right now I'm learning C. I'm realizing oh, what if I could use it in this embedded system I'm working? What if I can use it in reprogramming this router idea I have? Oh man, I'm gonna have to restart this thing. All right. Essentially, once you start learning how to build software, you start realizing all the different ways it can be used, and then start looking at the world around you. Hey, look at all these instances where software isn't being used and how it could improve it. And so then maybe you can even offer services and start making money in college through software, building stuff for people that is actually useful. If there's a bunch of local businesses, you can help them build or get into selling stuff online. Or if there's someone who offers information, you can figure out ways to automate or collect information that could be useful for their business. Things like that. So it could be things useful in the world, or they could just be interesting things that you find interesting. Wouldn't it be cool if I built this thing that took sound in from my phone and did something with it, or just experiment with APIs, public APIs that are available. So all the cool services that we have, Shopify, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media stuff, all the software stuff that you use on a daily basis, they usually have publicly accessible and available for free APIs, basically ways to connect with their service through software. And so one of the apps I built was to help automate posting content for me. I don't use it anymore because I'm more deliberate about the content I make now. But before, when I was running and gunning just quick edits and posting it on all these social platforms, I built a tool that would post it to all these social platforms for me automatically. So I literally built a web interface. Maybe I could show it to you. I could put it in the link. Spelt. It should be. Do I still have the link? I don't have the link. But basically, I worked with all the social platforms APIs. And so basically, I could send my piece of content to them programmatically, and it would automatically upload. So I have one interface where I put a description, I have an upload button, upload the video, hit send, and then it automatically sends it to all the social medias that I was connected to. And it simplified my work. It saved me at least 15 minutes a day, because actually posting and stuff took time, and I was posting all the time. So it's so things like that. Also, so yeah, just build stuff. It could be software only. Start a cryptocurrency coin. I thought about that. I thought about starting TEF coin, one to replace the Eritrean currency. Just the NAKFA is no more. I have TEF coin, or TEF or whatever. I thought it was, yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. I also thought crypto would be useful in flea markets or farmers markets, like vendors having to deal with cash, you know, or now they use Venmo and PayPal and all that stuff. But I mean, you're taking a 30-cent fee. You're losing 30 cents with every transaction. And plus 2.9% for payment processing. And you're going through these middlemen and people have to use smartphones, all that stuff anyway. So I was just thinking, like, what if you can get these vendors to use crypto? And interesting idea. But again, it's not a lucrative space. See, this is the problem. Like, all these ideas are not lucrative, which makes it so much harder. So much harder. Like, I don't know. It's like if you can find some, I don't know. I guess I have to like rewire my brain to see bigger opportunities essentially. Like, yes, it is. Yes, if you hold all the coins. No, but I mean, like financial services, like, yeah, you hold the coins, you make money on the asset. But the whole point is if you want to use it for transactions, you can't have it become an asset. That's the problem with Bitcoin. It can't be used for transactions because why would you use it if it's just going to increase in value? And so it's become an asset instead of a vehicle for transactions, which is the whole point, or at least the thing I appreciate about cryptocurrency. Kirk, what's up, man? Hey, this is a good, perfect time for you to jump in. We're talking about crypto right now and like starting a coin or whatever. But like the value that crypto, at least for me, was like in being able to make transactions without fees. And if you're going to do that, or if you take a small fee, and that's the thing, that's primarily how financial services make their money. They make their money through moving massive amounts of money and getting a fee off of that. Did you ever use the uncut currency in a store? No, I haven't. I haven't come up with an interesting enough idea. I still have it. It's still here. Here's the thing. I've noticed this about myself. I will think about an idea for a long time before I go and do it. Like this idea here with the glasses. I thought about this idea years ago. And it wasn't until like last year that I made the first version of these. And then I remade these ones. Better, even better. But like, I will think about an idea for a long time before I actually go and do it. But then when I do it, I do it. So yeah, I haven't done it yet, but definitely an idea for sure that I should definitely, like, even this like Cookie City idea years ago. And I eventually, when I can justify working on this, I will. Also, another idea I have is this here, AutoJect. Building a open source EpiPen. Someone came up with the idea using this, and I think it would be cool to make a video about it. So this is like $30, the tool, and it's used for like injecting insulin in a easier way for people who are needle phobic, because it does this automatic injection and then comes out automatically. But I think it'd be interesting for EpiPens and stuff. And so I wanted to make a whole video talking about open source medical devices, possibly as an avenue for like solving some of the issues that we have. Again, I have this because I thought of the idea. I just haven't gotten around to building it yet. But when I do, you'll see it. And it's been in the months thinking about this stuff. So like even this electronics device I'm working on, I heard about this idea last year. I came up with one way to solve it that didn't work. I had another idea, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And then now I finally got a prototype of it kind of working, or at least a proof of concept working, which is cool. And now I'm learning all the things I need to learn to be able to package all this stuff. But like, it just takes me a long time for whatever reason. You should hang it up. I mean, like, I don't need to have money on my walls. Like, I guess maybe, but I actually do want to spend it. I think it'd be cool to just give to a homeless guy. Nah, I don't know if that'd be cool, because like, what can they do with it? You know, no one's gonna respect a roll of $2 bills from a homeless guy as a form of payment. I have this idea of like, you guys have seen kindness content on YouTube and on Instagram. I was thinking like it's so exploitive, and this is sort of related to like Mr. Beast and how it's just like making money off of people's sort of misery or low points in their life. So I was thinking like, what if I could do kindness content in a not so exploitive way? And so I was just going to do one video explaining like, all right, if you're going to do kindness content, first of all, don't show people on camera because the internet's forever. If you're going to be showing their face at this low point in their life, they're going to have to live with this forever. It's like, don't do that. So if you're going to show something on video, show yourself doing the thing. Maybe you can record audio, but that's as far as it can go, and keep it anonymous too. Secondly, and I was going to do like, if you want to be cost effective, instead of going to these fast food restaurants claiming you're buying hundreds of hamburgers, which they're lying because that's not how it works at a fast food restaurant. So they lie about how much food that they're getting. And then it's always just this like, oh, well, if you're going to give it to the homeless, then it's free, kind of whatever. It's just marketing for the business. And you start realizing, oh, all this is fake. Instead, like you should find a food vendor that can make a large amount of food that you can then package into smaller things. And then you probably want to get Chinese takeout boxes, which you could buy from Restaurant Supply, which I would probably include as part of the video. It's like you can get supplies here. You can literally package food and then hand it out to the homeless. And then if you're going to hand stuff out and you want to give them money, you can give them money too. And show this whole idea like you can be generous without exploiting people. Yeah, maybe you don't get as many views. Okay. But it's not about the views. It's not about the views. But maybe you can still get views without exploiting people. I don't know. It's just like you start realizing like, here's the thing with the whole Mr. Beast scenario. There was a document that was leaked on how they do make their videos and stuff. And it's like, I don't know if it's legitimate from the Mr. Beast camp, but I started reading through it and I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's very cutthroat and ruthless when it comes to like I want to make the best videos. And he defines the best videos as the videos with the highest click-through rate, the most watched, with average view duration the highest and all that stuff. And it's just realizing like the flaw of using metrics to decide what best is. And then you realize what it devolves to is into spectacle. And that's essentially what Mr. Beast has become, a spectacle. And then what makes for a better spectacle? Exploiting people, especially when they're most needy, because it can get views. So you realize like it leads down this terrible path of just using people for views. And then it inspires all these other people because, you know, if you can become economically successful and be the top YouTuber doing this sort of strategy, everyone will copy you. And then, you know, it just creates more and more of this stuff. If you do all that, but then put it on YouTube with AdSense turned on, isn't that still exploitive? You don't show them. You can still have I'm not opposed strictly to the idea of like making money from video content. And maybe I'm open to the idea of like being wrong on this. I'm trying to find this like line between what is acceptable. Now, I personally wouldn't like, I don't know, the whole Jesus idea is like, if you're going to give quietly. That's sort of my vibe. So I'm not going to tell people unless to make a point for this video, like you can be kind and generous and make content without exploiting people. At least directly. I guess it's still technically exploitive if you are making money from it. If your purpose behind it also, I guess intention matters. I don't know. I want to make the point that you don't necessarily have to do it in this awful way that preserves a low point in someone's life and makes someone's hardships entertainment for others, you know? And that's the point I want to make with that video. That's the only point. But yeah, it is exploitive, I would say. If you still make money if the intent is to make money from ROI, essentially. Which is funny because like I could talk about like a pharmaceutical company I used to work for actually did the calculation, the ROI calculation on charitable donations to see how it would affect their bottom line. And the funny thing is they actually documented all this and they got in trouble. It's so dumb. It reminds me of like Stringer Bell in that scene in The Wire where his dude is like taking meeting minutes on their criminal conspiracy. He's like, "Are you taking notes on a criminal effing conspiracy?" And then he just grabs it up. It's just like, dude, you don't write this stuff down. And that's essentially what this pharmaceutical company did. They wrote it down. They made PowerPoint presentations. They have emails, and then they even have witness testimony. It's like, yeah, we did the calculations on what the return on investment of our charitable donation was going to be and how it would improve the adoption of this drug we're introducing into the market, which was also largely funded by Medicare, which is technically Medicare fraud. It's crazy. I like those restaurants where you pay what you want, donate more or less. Oh, really? I've never run into those. Oh, man. I don't know. If they gave me a choice, I'd be like, let me just drop a 20 here, even if the food isn't. I don't know. Here's the thing. You're going to attract a lot of people who just want a free meal, if that's the case, or whatever. Nice. They made it easy for the feds if they were ever to be in an investigation. They were investigated. Like they did. They made it so easy. I worked for this company, man. Like, it was before my time, and I eventually left. But when I found this out, like, I remember even being in a meeting with some of my coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe this, like, Department of Justice, whatever. It's like they're so wrong," and they were trying to like dismiss it. I'm like, and in my head, I was trying to be polite because, in corporate, you can't just like face people and confront them about honesty and truth. Corporations are not looking for honest people, as you guys probably already know. So I was like, and I was already on my way out. So I was like, I don't really need to rock the boat here. But in my head, I was thinking, like, I read the criminal complaint, man. They have us dead to rights. Obviously, it didn't involve me or most of the employees, but it definitely involved some C-suite executives at the time. They needed this drug to do well in the market. And there's this charitable program that helped with purchasing the drug, where the rest of it would be covered by Medicare. And they needed adoption of this drug. And so they incentivized people to ask their doctors for this if it was essentially free through this charity. But by dictating and calculating ROI for this, they were trying to figure out, like, yeah, it is definitely Medicare fraud. And of course, the person who was responsible and led it retired. And so, the company's not technically culpable because the person who was responsible isn't part of the company anymore. Obviously, they'll pay some fine or whatever and then move on, as it normally is for most corporations. But I mean, I got a chance to witness this company transition from a startup vibe into big pharma. I got a chance to witness it. During my time there, they ended up opening a Washington, D.C. office. Not because of biotechnology talent, as you can imagine Washington, D.C. has a lot of, sure. No, it's because they essentially opened up their own lobbying office and justified it as like, oh, we're trying to inform politicians and the government of our work so that they can make better decisions when it comes to the medical space. It's just like, you mean you just created a lobbyist group for your company? Like, here's the thing. No one else, I don't know if anyone else at the company saw that happening, but I saw that transition happening. I'm like, yeah, my time here is short for sure. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Or where fast food chains beg for donations to recoup what they already donated. Really? Is that a thing? Even if you know it's wrong, they still want you to go with it. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. You start realizing, like, corporations aren't looking for, they're not looking for innovation. They're looking for, what's the word? I feel like there's a good word for this. What's the word I'm looking for? Antonym of innovation. Exnovation? I didn't know that. I didn't know exnovation was a word. You learn something new every day, I guess. But yeah, they're not looking for people to rock the boat or disrupt anything. They're not looking for any of that. They're looking for people who can play the game, who will go along, who will follow the rules, who are sort of trapped in the system too. They're not looking for free spirits. They're not looking for people who are liberal. in the old sense of that word. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. As companies get bigger, it's all about protection and protecting their positions in the marketplace, and then also from within. And then you start realizing everyone's just like covering their ass. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. Which is the one advantage startups do have. You don't have the name recognition, you don't have the popularity, you don't even have the money, you don't have the tools, you don't have the access, you don't have the economies of scale, you don't have a lot of things. But what you have is none of that. None of the burdens of bureaucracy. None of the whole like scared to lose situation because you have nothing to lose because you have nothing. That's what a startup has. And it's hard, but it's a pretty big advantage. That's how they compete. And that's what I guess balances that sort of thing. But it is what it is, though. They need cronies. Yeah, they need cronies. It's like, it's very rare to run into a company that isn't like that. And even the ones who say they're not like that, those are the ones I suspect might be the most like that. I'm just thinking like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So that would be interesting. Oh. I'll be taking my talents to the startup game at some point. Yeah. I mean, like, look, you seem like you have the type of personality for it. Especially if you have that Renaissance type of vibe, Renaissance man type of vibe, and you have a little bit of experience in the corporate world, and everything just moves so slowly. Like it'll crush you, man. It seems like to me, it'll crush you. At least soul crushing experience doing that. And I get it. Yeah, you want to secure. Here's the thing. I'm not going to say don't take those jobs. I mean, like, a secure job's a secure job. If you're just looking for some funding, whatever, but like, or to raise some money or just have a good life. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting something secure and safe. I get it. But at the same time, it's just like if you don't have the temperament for it, it's going to be hard to thrive in an environment like that, especially if it like goes against your disposition. But maybe, I don't know, it's worth, I guess, having experience, whatever. Give me a big bonus and I'll do whatever. A lot of people are like that, actually. You cannot pay me enough to do something I don't want to do, at least not anymore. I can't, I don't know. It's just like, I would rather slug it out. Like, here's the thing. I've learning all this stuff I've learned over the last, like, even couple years, doing building stuff, building audience, content, even all of the skills I've learned doing, speaking to strangers on the internet and understanding how the world actually works. Like, I know I could be useful to at least smaller businesses for sure, but even bigger ones who just don't have any interesting ideas, but I can't work for them. I think about it sometimes, just like, should I? And then I realize, nah. I'd rather do this. I'd rather be poor. I'm not, but I'd rather than to. I can't do it, man. Not anymore. I'm too free. There were times I felt my spirit dying as an intern. Yeah, dude, I know that feeling. I don't plan on making a career out of it, but I'd give it a good 5 years. Yeah, it'll be a dangerous 5 years for your spirit. Just make sure, as far as as much as I know about you, like, as long as you're working on your own things on your own time, as long as you can maintain that. See, that's the thing. Like, yeah, man, because it's a soul crushing experience. Here's what I found. Because it's a soul crushing experience, it's hard to spend. Some people can do it where they can just channel their stuff outside of working hours. But if it is a soul crushing experience, then there's not much spirit left over after, because you've just been crushed for 8 hours a day. And so you're like, ugh, I was just in this office for 8 hours. And usually it's not like even a productive 8 hours usually. Sometimes it's like you were only productive half the time or whatever. But I don't know. You pay a price for being in that office is what I'm saying. So just be careful. Good night, everyone. Good night, man. I think I'm going to call it quits too. 2 hours, 24 minutes. Not bad. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits too. It's 9:41 here. Probably going to make some food before I go to bed. But yeah, shout out to everyone who came to the stream. Kirko, nice to see you here again. For Queen Bing, what's up? Always nice to see you here listening. As always, Rostimus, I think you might be new. Black Jesus, as always, shout out. And for anyone watching on one person on YouTube, all right, 0 people on YouTube now, 1 person on Twitch. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys here 7 p.m. next week, Sunday. And hopefully I'll have some more updates on stuff. I'll try to, man, I just got to like figure out the scheduling thing. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. Let's end here on TikTok first. And now, all right. And shout out to you guys watching on YouTube and anyone who watches the replay. Next week, Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll catch you guys. Bye. 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 Bye.